development. Does it get you by surprise, or is it something that you look at as looking at the clips that we've seen? I think they've literally been talking about this coalition for the longest time ever. It's just now that it's being formalized.
No, it is not about the coalition. Neither is it about the party. I want you to look at this on the basis of history. Our current president, President Uhuru Kenyatta, has about 2 years to leave office. For a lack of a better word, I would say he owes a debt to the Moi family. He owes a debt to the president, the fallen president, President Moi. And if he had his way, he would have quickly found it easy how to remove the current deputy president and elevate the Baringo Senator, Hon Gideon Moi. This is a script which started when His Excellency President Moi appointed and took the current president from behind the lines ahead, and he became a presidential candidate, and this hoisted him, put him in a higher place that 10 years down the road after President Kibaki was able to become president. So it's a debt that looks like the one that followed when President Kenyatta died. Uhuru's father had died. He had given President Moi a chance, and he became president, and he stood by him when there was a change in the constitutional movement. Now, this is the background. He has 2 years, and he has to move things quickly to ensure that Senator Gideon Moi is left in a more stronger position that will give him leverage the years ahead. You saw at the burial of President Moi that Senator Gideon was given the mantle to do the political bidding on behalf of the family and on behalf of the community. And he's also a smart guy. One of the people you can see, he's smart, he's shrewd, and he's also thoroughly wealthy. So he's very strong. The only problem now is the deputy president, who has equally amassed quite a chunk of money, also quite a chunk of support, is now politically more senior. This is where it is. But the president is setting a stage to pay that old debt, which I think you can see his relationship with the late president, with the family. It's been very cordial, very loyal, very lovely. Yes. So these others are circumstances that are coming just to provide an opportunity to do that.
And yes, of course, many of us will remember before the late President Moi passed away, there was quite a number of meetings between the current president and Moi, and also President Kenyatta's mom at one time went and met with Moi, and of course, there was no telling what exactly the meeting was all about. Do you think that this is what this is culminating to now as we see?
Yes, you can see that there's a lot of fondness. When President Kenyatta passed on, if we look at history, I was young, I was in class 2 or 3 there. The current president was very young. The death was sudden. Even the president's mother was fairly young. And President Moi came in and said, 1, I will follow Nyayo. 2, he actually embraced the family with a lot of respect, with a lot of care. So there are bonds that run deeper into the bone marrow. Us outside here will yap and jump and run, but in them you could see that when the sunset was coming in Moi's life, unlike any other seriously organized old man, you will now see people that you would appoint, you would call upon and say, please come, we discuss. And you saw he then called the president's mother, he would call the president, and all these other people making noise in the streets, they were never called. So what they discussed, I can suspect and I think was about the future of the families.
Okay. Yes. All right, and maybe just now from a legal perspective, just for us to understand that formalization of coalition between KANU and Jubilee, what exactly does that mean? Is that setting up the stage for 2022 such that when now it's time for Jubilee to, give its, its lineup for the presidency, there's a formal agreement between them and KANU as to what they can do together?
No, the script is the same. I want you to look at how our current president, Uhuru, came into power. He was formally nominated as a member of parliament, then put into government, because he had to get into the government machinery. So this is a step where KANU will be formally introduced now into the government. The said people, either the Secretary General or even if the Senator was bold enough, he would bite the bullet. He would resign as Senator, and then he would become a Cabinet Secretary, and in it he would put now the inner network. So this is a bridge through which now the KANU is formally entering into government and being able to pull strings from within and grow within. Because you growing outside in the wilderness, talking in the Senate and doing business may not give you government, knowing the way this government things are transferred.
Okay, let's look at something else which is touted to take place today. The president has called for a meeting of senators, particularly those in Jubilee. And your thoughts on what this is likely to be? From many political pundits, they say it could be time up. And Murathe is on record as saying that this could directly be the president calling or putting his house in order, and of course teaching a lesson to others through Kipchumba Murkomen and Susan Keheka. Do you see that as one of the things that is likely to come out of this meeting?
I think looking at the situation now, there would be a move to have control of the Senate. Because if you want to punish, let's say, the deputy president, then you'll have to do some form of an inquiry or some form of action in the Senate. And that is possible only if you have the support and the cooperation of the chief whip and the majority leader. So
which has not been the case so far when we look at Murkomen and Susan Keheka.
Yes. So I think if the president wants to consolidate, the first steps would be to remove these people so that they have a lot of power. You see, from the dynamics, the president seems to have more support in the Senate. But when you come to the National Assembly, the deputy president seems to have more support. So the process of consolidating would be to have these people replaced by allies, and then to draw a ground where you come up with the system. You talk about some constitutional process of removal, some kind of inquiry, some kind of impeachment, because it had been talked about. And I think time is running out because the president has hardly 2 years. COVID-19 has come in and is taking a chunk. So because time is running out, I think this could be part of the things that are being planned. Yes.
All right. And where does that leave the deputy president? Because we've seen a constant, I mean, if we just look back not too long ago, we remember the deputy president writing a letter in protest to some leadership changes that had been made in Jubilee. That already, to some, would be a writing on the wall that things are getting a little bit tricky for him. Now, if this happens, that we have his allies literally removed from such influential positions, that literally they say that if you want to kill a dog, you first of all give it a bad name.
I think if they were to do that, they will be bolstering his chances. They'll be making him great. You know, martyrdom grows people. If you look like you are being hit, you are being fought, you grow. One of the tenets, our Lord Jesus Christ, we love him and we adore him because he died for our sins. Those who didn't die, look, even when you come to humanity, look at Mandela. 27 years when he came out power. Look at the late president, even Honorable Raila Odinga. We believe in Kenya and in Luoland, where I come from, that he's been detained for 9 years for our sake. He's fighting for us. So that is where they would be hoisting the deputy president, freeing him from the trappings of power and then giving him a lot of sympathy. The biggest and the worst part would be because of the effect of the COVID-19 and other issues. Originally, the problems would have been attributed to both of them. But he will be left out. He'll be saying, you see, me, I was out, so this is President Uhuru and his team. So these bad things and this bad effect, I am out. He will emerge more stronger. Those who are doing that would make him also come out and say, you see the way I was betrayed, you see the way I stood by president, you see the way I did this, then along the way you can see he came and betrayed me, brought in Raila, brought in Senator Baringo, all this. This sympathy will have a tendency to increase his popularity and his boldness. Because once it is clear they are enemies, then he will take on the president. And if you ask me from what I see, he has the capability of standing on one side and combining the president, combining Honorable Raila and the others on the other side, and you take them. Why do I say so? Strangely, when the Constitution 2010 was being voted for, nearly the whole country was for a new constitution. And then he strangely woke up and said, we oppose because there are few areas. And by the time the votes were done, he had 4 million plus people believing him. Several years down the road, he has amassed more money, he has amassed more friends, he has amassed MPs, and he is stronger. This will make him stronger, and he can sweep all these people.
Politically speaking, he certainly is a force to reckon with. But I don't know, as a political analyst and a political strategist, what do you make? Not too long ago, we had one of the very close allies to the deputy president apparently having lunch with the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. That's Oscar Sudi and Raila Odinga. What do you make of that? Because, I mean, in this world we're living in, particularly politically speaking, I'm not sure there's anything like just having a meal.
Yes, I think these people will turn. One thing is that people are very shrewd, and you will have discussions with the deputy president, the former prime minister. But people like Sudi are also very clever. Who has the people on the ground? And who is the future? If they are sure Honorable Raila will be president, they will shift. But if they are sure that that will affect their ground, they will not. So you will find that for now, people will try to jostle. But the key thing is, you see, slowly the president is becoming a bit irrelevant. People are focusing on either the deputy president, or if it is Honorable Raila, or if today Senator Gideon Moi was to be the front runner. You will see all of us praising and composing songs for him. So these meetings are for people who want to see who is growing. Other than that, there are also those who have been scattered. Because the president has also tried to scatter people. If he doesn't like the deputy and you're with the deputy, either the DCI will come for you, or somebody will do this, or there will be tax issues. So the others who are also knowing they have some skeletons, so they scatter. But as we move towards 2020, it will become clearer that the front runner will have more people around him. If it's the Honorable Raila, you will see people. Only a few of us may remain behind. But you will see people with him. If it is the deputy president, you will see people. If the president is going to change the constitution so that he will be in power, you will see his old allies going around him. It is about the future. It's not about loyalty. It's not about whatever.
It's what they can get in the future.
Yes.
Of course, one of the other things that we recently saw happening is the de-whipping of the Senator Ledama Olekina from Senate County Public Accounts and Investments Committee, which again is telling that there is something happening. Again, this is a very powerful position. Remember, the likes of Ababu Namwamba held that position, and they were also equally hounded off, that kind of thing. So what do you make of this, given that Ledama is a strong ODM member, but this particular time he seemed to go against the grain of what the political party wanted, and that is in light of having, a new leader in that place. So he was de-whipped. What do you make of this?
Two things. Number one, the post that he was in is such a powerful post, you can ruffle feathers. Those who have been there have ruffled feathers. So there are interested parties outside here who would be, number one, saying, no, we don't want that guy. That guy can really, really harm us. He will go deep. He could do things. So that is number one. Number two, looking forward, you will find that he may be currently in ODM, but where the pastoralist communities are going, you can see that direction. So he is a person who's capable of building himself, of having clout. And where we are going, we would need people who you tell them turn left, they turn left, turn right. So it may be ODM, but I don't think even the ODM now trust him. And that would have accounted for his removal.
Okay, and Now, what chances are there? It just seems like there's so much turmoil that it becomes confusing to understand. Is Jubilee working with ODM? We remember not too long ago, we also had the likes of James Orengo coming out and literally, condemning the government and saying that this government has failed, something which we have not seen since the handshake.
Let's put the parties aside, the ODM, Jubilee. It is not about them. It's about, if you talk about Jubilee, you talk about President Uhuru. You talk about the deputy president. Who is where in those two camps? If you talk about ODM, you talk about Honorable Raila. So sometimes some of these allies do not know which picture or do not think where they want to go. So Honorable Rengo may think today Honorable Raila is unhappy about this. Let me talk about it. Then he talks about it and he's told, hey, you are the one trying to sabotage our relationships. And then they come back and they are in the dark because of sometimes misreading what either the president or the prime minister or the deputy is doing. Those are the three people who are doing the parapet. It's called parapet. They play it like this. They play. If today Honorable Raila was to wake up and say I have a problem with Uhuru, you will hear the people like senior colleague Orengo talking against and saying even this COVID came from Uhuru. If he was to say we are put, they're quiet. So from the talks you see in Parliament, it is due to just misreading the actions of the two leaders, because the two leaders have also been very closed on their relationships. You guess, people keep on guessing today, what is Raila thinking, what is Uhuru thinking. Even the deputy president has been left out. So those guesswork sometimes lead to missteps. And I know Honorable Rengo will soon come and say, I didn't say that, I said this. As long as Baba comes and says, please don't condemn this government.
All right, and maybe one of the things, of course, that we are looking as a highlight this week is that meeting that the president is going to have. And if what political pundits, including the likes of Murathe, are saying is true, that Senator Murkomen and Susan Keheka may bear the brunt of that, what is the legal process to actually have them removed? We know one of them might be, to have, they need at least 18 signatures from senators, which has been a tall order all along. Do you think that the president is able to marshal this time round?
It is very easy to talk in the streets or in the Senate or wherever, in all corners. Let me tell you, when you sit and the president is sitting across the table, there are very few people in this country who can say, no, Your Excellency, I don't think we are going to do that. 3/4 of those in the Senate will talk in the streets, in the whatever. But when the president says, this is what I want, this is what I think, this is what you need to do, very few will defy. If he wants the 18 signatures, he will receive them in State House before they leave. In fact, everybody will be jostling to have a nice side of the president. So talking about it has been difficult is because the president has not put his foot on it. There are very few who can say no. Maybe Orengo can say no if Raila says goes and say no. But if that's all they want, it will come before they leave State House, before they go for tea and the photos. The signatures will have been left.
What other requirements are needed for this to become a legal process? Because, of course, we know if it is not, then it's definitely not going to see the light of day.
In fact, the parliamentary changes is not, the process is not very complicated. One, the president can easily do politics and it works. How does he do that? He can easily ask Murkomen, my brother, I think it is time that you leave for somebody else. I don't think Murkomen has the ... to say no. He doesn't. Number two, there will be the senators themselves putting themselves in the Senate, because they control even the speaker. They give a motion, they give a notice, and then the changes are done. It's never as complicated as election. So this just requires which side does the president sit. Even when Murkomen was becoming the majority leader, it was not that he has the clout in the Kenya or in the world. It was just that the president said it's okay, and the deputy said, I want this guy, and the president said, hallelujah. And then he became. The same hallelujah can have him out and somebody else. Look at the tough one, which was Senator rectangular, one
Correct.
of the principles, the principles. When Honorable Raila said, rectangular, we are brothers, but here, see Urafiki, immediately Orengo came in. And he is there, and he is sitting. So that is how it works.
That's how it works. And
Yes.
where does that leave politicians having their own voice within a party? Because according to what they tell us, and of course you and I probably know that may not be the case,
Yes.
that they are allowed to have a divergent view, however, to certain party principles. Does that leave any democracy within political parties?
There's no democracy in any political party. What I have learned even in my own political career is what you need is what is your base support. How many people do you have? How many can you command? If you cannot command people, there's somebody higher to you. That voice depends on the leader. If today I had the Luo community behind me, you will find the president will be talking to me, he will not be talking to Raila. It depends on who you have. So these people, even Honorable Murkomen, for now the deputy president has the people. So he will sing the voice of the deputy president. You can see in Central, the president has the voice. There are some people who want to disagree with him, but because they don't have the people, they go in. So in these parties, they can easily tell you, go and start yours if you have the voice. And people have started, and without the voice, you sink. So what do? You comply. These people may just be big for TV and for talking, but as long as they do not command support, we'll still have Honorable Raila, Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, the president, the deputy president. The rest of us, we are singers.
All right, and we have 5 minutes to go, but allow me to read some of the comments that are coming through and maybe also get your closing remarks and maybe comments on what some people are saying. And the question that we had asked earlier on is, what is your take on the formalization of the post-election coalition agreement between Jubilee and KANU? Cedric says, the unstoppable deputy president making the whole combination of Uhuru, Raila and Gideon sleepless. We have Peter Ndirango who says, political debts, some people actually think they own people who they don't even know what they eat. The Kenyan electorate is taken as a joke and simply sheep. I think there's somebody who referred to the electorate as a bag of potatoes. They come for you when they need you, and when they don't, you're left out there. Whether that is true or not remains to be seen. Honestly, I don't see this bearing fruit. That particular coalition. Pastor Mayoyo says this is clear about 2022. The deputy president Hannah Chake in Jubilee Party. I'll read one more before we get to your closing remarks. Ambrose Weda, Kenon Weda. Jacob says post-election agreement between KANU and Jubilee has mixed fortunes. I foresee others falling below the bridge, and while others shall reach canon of political fruits, honey and milk. Maybe first of all, just to start with some of those comments, there's that particular one of one who feels that the electorate is taken for granted. Do you agree? Do you feel that this might be the case?
Actually, I'm the one who has said here that the electorate are a bag of potatoes. You carry them when you need them, you drop. As long as they do their votes based on party, tribe, they have no say, they have no chance. But the day they will change, there will be having a clear consideration about them. When it comes to the future, I remember the deputy president said that what you need are the people, and they know that what you need are the people. So going forward, the coalitions may not hold strong until we understand and appreciate the outcome of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I would have wished to tell my president to leave a good legacy, go through this pandemic, rebuild the economy so that we will have a good name for you. Jostling for changes and power and new coalitions and new government and new people continues just to make things look bad. They make you look bad. And I really feel sad and bad about him being one of your key supporters. Now we would have concentrated on matters economics, matters health, matters security until we are clear out of this pandemic. These coalitions and making people and mixing people should have and should wait until we are strong and back on our feet as a country again.
Do you see that happening where there's been so many opportunities, and I was reading an article not too long ago where the president has had opportunities to now make his name and leave a legacy, but those opportunities have been wasted. One of them being the handshake, which doesn't seem to have given us a clear direction as to where we're going, particularly when we look at politics. Now, what you've mentioned now is also an opportunity, COVID-19. Do you see him stepping up?
I'm really praying for the president every morning at 4 a.m. for him to receive more wisdom, for him to look forward. But I think there are some people, allow me to use the word charlatans, around him that come and fill his mind with ideas about power, about jostling, and forgetting the vision, the direction where the 48 million Kenyans are supposed to be. I continue pray. We will also continue making noise, and we continue saying these things so that, because I know the president is excellent in understanding and in seeing the forward. May Jehovah ensure that some of these charlatans stay behind so that we deal with the
But whether, sorry to stop you,
yes.
the quality of a good leader and a good president would be to deal with those charlatans. He's not been able to deal with them so far, some would argue.
I think yes. When you see people like Matiang'i being brought in, people like Magoha, it means a time comes when you see things are so bad that you have to remove some of these characters and say we need to have a direction. And when he brings clear people, there is direction. You saw the other day he brought Mutahi Kagwe, and you see there's a direction. So if it is noise, if it is the trouble, if it is the problems to bring in order, it will come. The joy of it is that he is able to see and is flexible enough. Some people would have stuck with those guys. We have seen a neighboring president who does not listen even to experts. Here we have one who listens to experts, he listens to noise, he reads social media. The other day you heard the president ranting about what people are saying on social media about flowers. That means he listens. So that is strong enough, and that's where we are speaking. And we are saying even now, this political jostling should be put in the background. Deal with COVID-19, deal with the matters education, economics, because we are going to face a very deep depression. And that depression requires clear leadership. Not who will be minister, who will be national coalition government, who will be in what, who will be Senate majority leader or Senate minority. It will be how do we steer ourselves out of the depression? How do we cover that our people who are low, who don't have sufficient resources, are covered so that they don't die in this process? That is our priority. I've always said everything is required is possible, but what we need is in order of priority.
Absolutely. All right, Canon Weda, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll have to wind up right there because of time. That is the way it is. It's 6 minutes after 8. We're going to take a short break, but do stay with us right here on Morning Express. We have more, including sports, coming up right here. We take that break.